Coming up on this episode of Cade Friends, our guest this week, Kels Cooper, Tulsa comedian.
I want to work, for my tribe, for my people, and I still plan on doing that. But I did study theater and stuff in high school, and I grew up doing it. And so then I was like, oh, well, now there's all this stuff here, and I am allowed to chase this dream, and we can fight for sovereignty through representation. When people see us in media, seeing us hold space and have joy, they'll want to stand next to us when our rights are being taken away.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Cade Friends. I'm here with my co-host Alex Clare and our guest this week, Kels Cooper, Tulsa comedian. How you doing, Kels?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Is that how people often introduce you, as Tulsa comedian?
I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Nicer than other things I've been introduced as, so I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. When people introduce you next in like a lineup of a show, how do they typically do that?
I would say the thing that gets mentioned most is the Aunties Acting Up show that I produce.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really proud of that one.
So yeah, you do in addition to doing stand up, you also put together a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite parts right now about what I do. To have a showcase of Native women, because as I've never been to a Native female stand-up comedy show in my 30 years. And so, I wanted to be able to start making that happen here.
Yeah. And those are really, what you are doing is, I think, really cool and profound. And I think people are really, and they enjoy it. It's fun, in general. And
Thank you.
It's has a really, I think it's having a positive impact. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything to get more Native voices out there.
Yeah.
I think very good.
I guess by the time this airs, this will have happened, so I can go ahead and talk about it. But I am currently planning the next Aunties Acting Up show. And so we had our first one last February, and then I'm like, do I look at the cameras or you guys?
You can just look at us. If you want to address the audience,
you guys. We had the first one last February, and it sold out in 10 days.
Wow.
And so we added a second night, and then that one got pretty full too. And then we did an aunties and uncles thing in October, and then the next big Aunties Acting Up show, it'll be in March, and we have a celebrity host this time. Pikachu Bread is going to be hosting it, and
that's exciting.
Yeah, they're like a powerhouse in just Native happenings.
Something that might be worth explaining is because audience might know it. What is Aunties?
Oh yeah,
so might need to explain.
Yeah. So Aunties Acting Up is a bad butt show that
you can curse.
Is a badass show that it's Native stand-up comedians, and it's myself and Jordan J.I., Natalie Standing Cloud, Rachel Rose, Julie Make, Natasha Ferdinand, and then on the opening weekend we had Adrian Chalipa come out, and she's doing amazing things, and she was just on an HBO show, and Spirit Rangers, and she does stand up with Tatanka Means, and so we had her on the first one. But anyway, so yeah, we've Pikachu Bread is going to be the host, and then we're going to have all these amazing female Native comedians.
And how did you come up with the name? I have my assumption here, but how did you come up with Aunties Acting Up?
Actually, Jordan J.I. came up with the name. We produced these shows together, and we were just bouncing around names, and she's like, how about Aunties Acting Up? And we were like, yeah. So it stuck.
Oh, so it's not are you guys all ants? Is that
like aunties?
You might have to explain some sort of Native things to Alex over here.
Aunties is like a usually single. Term. Yeah. But just like it can be like a Native woman who's doing her thing, and is a good relative, but also herself, and you know, and maybe from like 30s and older.
So I am non-native, so I had no idea that was a thing. But a lot of people listening probably don't know that same thing either. So I did not. I just assumed it was like, you know, ants.
I mean,
like,
we all are like somebody's aunt. Right. Yeah.
So I just thought it was like a little play on that. So
yeah.
No, that's neat.
Yeah.
My assumption on how the name happened was completely wrong.
You thought they're all related, or they all they brought their nephews and nieces out to that?
Definitely not for the little nieces and nephews. That's for sure.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, no, it's a term, and it's like an age group or what, you know, it's kind of like a middle age kind of
It's a demographic of indigenous people.
Yeah, your aunties and your uncles. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so there you go. You learned something.
I just learned I did some native terminology. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so I guess we should say, I mean, so you're what do you
I am personally sponsored by LaCroix.
Which LaCroix is that?
It's hibiscus.
Okay. Yeah. See, I haven't been bitten by the LaCroix bug. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. It wasn't my choice. I didn't expect to be a LaCroix person. I liked all the other sparkling brands, and I would never touch LaCroix. And then working on film crews, it's like it's all you got. Mm-hmm. And so we had like a smorgasbord of flavors on Res Dogs, and so that's how I got hooked. I am cooked. That's how I got hooked.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. Do you like LaCroix, Alex?
I don't think I've ever had it. Mm. I mean, I'm sure I've like tasted it, but I can't sit here with the certainty of, I've had Pepsi, but I don't know if I've had a LaCroix.
It's often described as TV static with the whisper of a fruit.
I don't know if I would like that. Like, I don't usually like sparkling water. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
do you like fruits whispering to you?
I do like whispering fruits.
Okay.
Like Sprite
That's
is
not the problem.
Sprite is like the bubbliest, like that tastes like
McDonald's Sprite.
Yeah, McDonald's Sprite. Ugh, that's the good stuff right there.
What's your favorite fast food meal?
A black bean chalupa and a steak quesadilla, extra steak, and a Doritos Locos Taco from Taco Bell.
Okay. Wow, that is a well memorized order. Not even much hesitation either. If I was asked that question, I'd go. But yours was 1, 2. Here's the answer.
That's what I get every time. The black bean chalupas. People don't know about them.
I have no idea about them.
I'm not a vegetarian, but like I try to, especially if it's like Taco Bell meat. Mm-hmm. I try to limit my exposure to, hence the extra steak. But but no, black bean chalupas is where it's at. Or you can like sub your meat for black meat. Yeah.
Wow.
I knew that you could sub it, and I see it because I'm a very frequent Taco Bell. In fact, I just got Cade into the Taco Bell app.
Yeah, I got into the app because of this guy here.
Is it worth it?
Do you not have the app? Oh my God, you need to get the app.
I hadn't done the app until recently.
Because do
you want to make the problem worse?
Yeah, it's too good.
Because if you're going to order Taco Bell, you get rewards points, and every so many points you get a free item, and once you get to a high enough reward tier, you can get I think a Dorito Loco Taco you can get for free. So, you could be, every 3 meals, you could be getting a free, saving $2 right there.
Probably get stuff for your birthday too.
I think there is a birthday reward. If you ever,
one for signing up, one for your birthday.
If you
one
ever,
when you're sad. You can just
tell. If Taco Bell ever messes up your order, you can, send an email and, you just write, if you order online.
You can send an email.
You can send in a request
to whom it may concern.
I mean,
can't you do that without the app?
But if
I
you
have
do
a problemo.
If you do it on the app and you're like, hey, my burrito, like, I don't like sour cream. Hey, my burrito had sour cream in it. I don't like sour cream.
You're gonna write a whole email about them putting sour cream on
No, that's all you have to do is just like, all you have to do is like, there's a problem with my order. I got sour cream on my burrito. I don't like sour cream. And then they're going to send you a free item that you can like redeem next time. Look, I'm a, go ahead and give me a front up.
Go.
I love Taco Bell, and the Taco Bell app is probably one of the best apps you can have. You get free rewards, and the more you use it, the better the rewards. Mm-hmm. We aren't sponsored by Taco Bell, but God, are they good.
Wow. Did he sell you on that?
I'm kind of sold, yeah. I would take advantage of that. I'm a sometimes terrible person, and if there's like a little thing wrong with my DoorDash, I'm like, no. Like,
so you do complain? You do complain?
Okay, it's not because I'm a Karen. It's because and you can do it close. It's because I worked in restaurants for like over a decade. And there's sometimes when I know like I don't complain all the time because I'll know like I can tell when it's someone's fault or not. But it's just like, man, I just reverted. I'm like, we can do better, guys. Come on team, let's get our head in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what you say about your own order. Yeah, go on, team.
I just mean like the team of the restaurant I'm at. Yeah.
They need to elevate their game a little bit.
Because I'm like I would have done it right,
But didn't we all have those because I also worked in the food service industry, that the people who used to work at your place were the worst customers ever.
Yeah. So I actually actively work at Arby's right now, up in Ohio. And so like, I'm very critical. Like, so if I get Taco Bell and there's sour cream, it's like, especially if I get like everything without sour cream and one item has sour cream in it, it's like, okay, I know for a fact on your screen you saw all the things without sour cream and still you put sour cream on it. Now, I work at Arby's because if I work at Arby's and I see every sandwich of theirs gets none of this and one of them doesn't, or like all of them have that, I'm going to make sure none of them have it on there. It's like, I'm not going to get one thing, get lettuce on it. Like, if I make a mistake, I'm going to own up to it. I forget to give someone their fry. They come back. They're like, you didn't give me my fry. I'm like, shit, you're right. Here's a large fry now. So, I think it's fair to hold. Also, I mean, they're $1 million corporations. I think it's fair to hold fast food as long as you're nice about it.
Yeah, no. I apologize when there's shit wrong with my
I'm
food.
so sorry, but you messed up my sandwich. But I asked for no sour cream. Can I just get, I'm sorry, but like, can I please get a new burrito?
That's how I do it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not a Karen to want your food right.
So you apologize to them for messing up your order, and then
I'll be like, I'm so sorry, but this happened. Like, if you have the time, if you have a minute, would you mind?
And then their response is always going to be, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. That's on us."
Exactly.
That's how this is supposed to happen.
That's the natural order of things.
I would never. I just deal with it. That's where I'm at. But I'm also not particularly picky. But I'm also just like, oh, this isn't how I did it. Oh well. I guess the chef wanted to make it this way.
Dude, one time in college, there was something wrong with. There was this. So I went to college in Durango, Colorado, and there was a Sonic there, and like, don't go to a Sonic outside of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Don't. And it was always the worst Sonic. Like one time I got like my milkshake was like chocolate milk, and then the straw they crammed it, the straw poked through the cup and it went all over my car. It was like a thing. And
wait, they poked the straw into the cup?
I can't remember exactly like if it was me or them, but my milkshake should have been solid enough to not going anyway. But I went there and I got a burger and there was something wrong with it, and I let them know it had whatever. It was like I didn't want mayo, and because if you don't want mayo and you get mayo. Yeah. It's not something you can just ignore. Anyway, so I complained. They brought out a new burger. And And that still it was still wrong. So I complained, and they finally brought me out like a third burger.
And this whole time you're just clicking the little button to get them to
Yeah. And so I had 3 burgers. And so finally, and the third one was probably wrong. And I just left, and I showed it to my friend's house, and I was like, hey, I have all these burgers. But it was like crunchy towns, and no one ate fast food. So, and it was Colorado in 2014. So I ate all those burgers.
So Alex was just saying, because we went to Sonic for lunch today, just down the road here, and he's like, well, is it a good or bad Sonic? I'm like, is there a bad Sonic? And he's like, well, up in Ohio, there's I guess a notoriously bad Sonic. I'm like, I guess I've just lived a sheltered life here in Oklahoma.
I think what you said about
when Sonic's bad, it's bad.
Oh yeah. You know what? That one was good though. It did taste. Everything tasted pretty good. I'm also someone though that like, you know, if we accidentally make too much, like, you know, we're in our rush and we make an extra sandwich. If someone like comes through the drive-thru and they're really nice or they're like a regular, I'll be like, hey, we accidentally made an extra sandwich. Do you want it? And usually they say yes. I mean, who's going to turn down a free sandwich? And so, you know, because it's like
I would never.
Okay. But because like it's, you know, like this is a sandwich, like the sandwiches only are good for like 10 or 15, like if you make it, they can only sit there for like 10 or 15 minutes and then you have to throw them away. So I'm like, well, it's going to get thrown away anyways, might as well give it to someone who might actually eat it, because Arby's reheats really well. Once again, we're not sponsored by Arby's either, but Arby's reheats really well as long as you take it out of that aluminum, you know, the aluminum
Yeah,
wrapper.
you can't keep it in the wrapper.
I mean, you can. It's just
I learned that as a kid. I accidentally popped one of them in there and caught on fire.
Was it a Pop-Tart by chance?
No, it was Arby's roast beef, a sandwich or something. Yeah.
Does it ruin the microwave?
No, it was pretty immediate. You saw the problem. The problem comes clear pretty, you know, as long as you know you're looking at it, you know, just walk away.
All right. Have you guys seen American Hustle?
I've not seen American Hustle.
It's so good. There's this scene, and Christian Bale, who's unrecognizable in it, he's married to Jennifer Lawrence, her character is like so annoying but so funny. And I was watching. I was part of a murder mystery dinner the other week, and so I was doing research for it, and so my character was like based off of her. It was really fun. Anyway, so there's this scene, and it's like when microwaves are new, and like I guess the mayor, the mafia person, whoever, like gifted them a microwave, and they kept calling it the science oven, and he's like, don't put metal in the science oven, don't put metal in the science oven, and she's like, okay, whatever, and then cut to her walking through the living room. She's like, don't put metal in the science oven, I'll do whatever I want. And then puts it in there, and like the kitchen burns down.
Wait, so
It was funny.
so you studied up this character, and then like, is this like a role play event, or just like?
It was
some sort of role play event?
I mean, technically, it was this was fun. It was a murder mystery dinner up in Kansas at this country club. There's this guy that puts these on regionally, and so it was like a company Christmas party, and they had this like nice meal catered and stuff. We were supposed to get a plate, but we never got a plate.
You should have complained.
We had Arby's on our way home. And so I thought it was on you.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I'm going to cut you off real quick.
Sorry.
Just because I can see your phone. Is that your notes? Is that a screenshot of your notes app as your screensaver?
Okay, so I do this. So I do this for comedy.
Can you get a?
Yeah, that's.
I do this for comedy, and
You do it for comedy.
and so it says things like knocked up by comedian, abortion plan early, Oklahoma girl math, therapy psychedelics, autistic, Blackfoot, caramel foot.
Okay, hang on. Autistic is just by itself.
Well, it says autistic and Taylor Swift. It's a bit I have about how I'm autistic, and like and I obsess over things, and so I'm like Taylor Swift autistic. Like I listen to her like 4 hours a day.
Sure.
Ninja Star, Native Guy, What That Mouth Do. These are all like clues to my set. So
Okay.
So I'll have my phone down, And this is from my set from last night. And so whenever I like forget the order my jokes are in, I can just glance. And so
you save it as the wallpaper.
Yeah.
On your phone.
Yeah.
That's
And so I just
smart.
see like a word or two in it, and then I remember the story.
I was over here thinking like, is this like a grocery list or just like a like what is this?
And it's so funny because like I have a lot weirder joke keys.
Yeah.
And so there's like people would be like, what is on your phone? But no, so like therapy psychedelics, I have this bit and I'm like, who's in therapy? And a handful of people are like, yay. And then which I did a show at Bartlesville, and it was my first like country show, and nobody admitted to being in therapy. Although one of the comedians told me that he saw some people go like, and then when the rest of the table looked, they put their hand down. So I have a background in sociology, so that really helps a lot, because like some jokes you just cannot like just don't fit. Anyway, so then I go, who does psychedelics because it's cheaper and more accessible, and then every time twice like the whole room's like, yeah.
Wow.
So did you double the zero at the country club for the did they respond to psychedelics, the country club people?
Oh, the murder mystery thing?
Yeah, no. I mean, didn't you say you tried it? You tried the joke at?
It was at like the Bartlesville, like it was like at, like the event center.
Oh,
there or something.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
And I was not expecting it to be. It looked as Rick Shaw was one of the other comedians. He was poking fun at them. He was like, I feel like I walked into an episode of Yellowstone. And he's like, I think that guy looks like he's gonna take me to the train station. And this guy's this like George Strait looking guy and he's like tipped his hat at the comedian. It was terrifying. But yeah, jokes like, or like crowds like that, you don't make abortion jokes
No.
in front of.
Yeah. So do you have a joke that like so if that's your set list, do you have like jokes where you're just like, do you have like an alternative set list of just like, okay, these aren't the jokes working, time to pull out the other set list? Or do you kind of commit a little bit and just kind of take out some of them?
Oh, when I'm on, so my set, my set changes every single set I do.
Oh, okay.
So, like whenever I usually, because I have like a database of my jokes in my phone, and it's kind of like right before is when I'll throw it together, and based on like what I've been working on recently, like what jokes I've been working on for that like cluster of weeks, and then also like the room. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so like sometimes they're like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll pull this old one out. Yeah, it just changes every time.
That's cool.
So
do you have all of your jokes written out completely, or do you just have them as bullet points? Like
it's like that. Yeah.
It's like that. Okay. Yeah. And so you immediately know that joke. From just the.
Because I think of it, it's just like a story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so.
How often do you reach the point where you see that and you're like, I have no idea what this means?
I've done that before. And it's so infuriating. And I'll be laying in bed and I'll think of a joke, and I'm like, okay, you don't need to write this down. And I'll sit there and I'm like, remember, and I'll have like the keyword, like ice chest. When you wake up, remember ice chest. And it's gone. But, or sometimes I'll write something down. Yeah. And I'll go back to it. And I'm like, oh. Or in the moment it's funny. And then when I go back to it, I'm like, no.
Oh God. Why was that funny at 2 a.m.?
Yeah. Or my friends will be like, a lot of times my friends are like, oh, there's a joke. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it was. You're right.
Yeah. Actually, today my roommate and I had a moment, and I was like, hey, I need to use that. So I was like, I'm going to die alone. And she was like, no, you're not. You're going to have cats. But that's the joke. But the real story is I said it to her. And I was like, I'm going to turn that on myself. And she was like, yeah, that's funny. I was like, yeah, because I don't want to sound like a dick.
Well, now I think
she's a dog person. I told her, I was like, you'll have a dog.
Well, see, I think that makes it even funnier because it's the story now, and now you have this story of just like, here's a joke. Actually, psych, here's a story.
Ooh, good idea.
Yeah.
That's it.
You got that. Every time you make that joke, though, you have to shout out Cade Friends podcast.
Yeah.
This joke brought to you by Cade Friends.
Oh, the murder mystery dinner.
Yes.
Back to that. Back to that. Okay. So we went up to Burlington, Kansas, kind of like in between Wichita and KCMO. And so yeah, it was me and 3 other comedians. I was the mob boss's wife. And then Thunderwolf was like the mob boss.
So this was all scripted out. This murder mystery.
Oh, it wasn't scripted. Oh, yeah, no. I'll get to that. And then Bradley McPherson was like the mob boss's assistant, and then Shauna Blake was the rival. And on the drive up there, so we were told by the person that puts us on, they're like, okay, mob boss dies, and then this is the person that did it. Y'all come up with the rest. So we had to like come up with this story and stuff. So everyone's sitting, and I've heard of these for years, but I never knew how it worked out. So this, there was like damn near 100 people. It felt like maybe like 75. It was maybe 60. I don't know. It was a lot of people. But we go in and they're having their meal, and we basically had these like, there were certain exchanges. Like everyone had to have an exchange with each character, and we had to go around to the tables and act like we're having these conversations and like say this one little bit and then move on to the next table, like. So
are they asking questions to you, or are they?
Some of them would ask questions. It's
a giant role play event.
Yeah. And then the guy,
so far you're not just
basically like the first course in cocktails, we go out and we kind of make the set, like set the scene, and let people see our character's personality, and then give little clues at like why someone's a sketch, you know what I mean? So like I was obviously like a gold digger, and I had like lashes and fur coat and was like going all out.
Was this given to you, or is this a story you made up? The lashes and
I just assumed mob boss's wife.
So the gold digger thing was just you were like, this is who I am. I'm a mob boss. Okay, great.
Well, okay, so the storyline was already set beforehand, but that this is a mob boss and his wife, like all that is set, right?
Yes.
You come into it.
We had to write the details.
You had to write all the details
and the like conversations. And so it
but why
was
that
a lot of improv?
The premise, like, was it just because it worked? I don't know, in the past, or
I guess, yeah. Okay. Well, because we needed someone to die and someone to do it,
yeah.
And then we had to come up, and then maybe like we just had a very vague outline, and we had to improv the rest. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So did you guys come up with who killed the person?
No, we were given like an outline.
You were okay. Yeah. That's so interesting, because I would think, oh, I'm going to a murder mystery. I have to figure out who.
Oh,
did
yeah,
the murder.
no.
The people
eating dinner had to figure out who it was.
Yes, but these are the actors behind the scenes.
We were the actors.
I thought you were.
No. I was an actor in it, and then the audience is the people eating dinner.
That sounds so fun.
It was a lot of fun. And then.
And so, how many tables are there that you have to go to?
There was about 9. I think off the top of my head, there was 9 tables. And so we would go, and so each of us had to have an exchange, and it was to, give a little clue of why they might have done it. And then after a certain point, and then when the mob boss did a big toast and then drink, and then he was like, yeah. So then he goes into Thunderwolf, he goes into the other room, changes and comes out and is this like, because we were the limoncellos and we had this accent, and then he leaves and he comes back, and then he's this detective talking like this, and we're gonna solve this routine murder, and it was so funny, and I was a suspect, but I didn't do it, and everyone really thought we did, and then like at the end of the dinner, everyone writes who they vote or like vote like who, how, and why, and then whoever got closest got like a prize that we brought.
Okay.
It was so funny. I was just being obnoxious and like kind of flirty. Well, the character was like jealous of like other women, and so I would just kind of dove into that, and then like would like flirt with the guy to like get revenge. It was just so much fun. And then like this one, I knew she was native because she got real mad when I gave her man attention. I was like, I hope she knew we were just acting. But it was fun.
Yeah.
10 would do again.
Find out there's a
That's
complaint and like
Yeah.
And they,
this lady just
and
flirting
they
with
weren't
my.
feeding us, so we would just go up to like the hors d'oeuvre and dessert table and like feed each like act like a married couple and just feed each other.
So I want to say something, maybe a little controversial.
So okay, wait, before you say anything that's controversial.
It's not really controversial. I just thought it'd make it funnier. Go ahead, Cade.
I have a question about the prim. I'm always fascinated by the rules and all this sort of thing. So what are the people in this doing within the narrative of the show? Are they just at a dinner party, or how do they know the mob boss? Is that explained at all in the show?
Like are you asking
The
about
actual people within the story? Like
So the four of us.
there's four of you.
Uh-huh.
You're interacting with these people in what way? Are they just at a
We're interacting with each other in front of the dinner audience.
Okay, so you're acting like the dinner audience isn't there?
Kind of.
Okay.
Well, we're acting like we're at like a party.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to
And
understand.
we're walking around, and like we were making small talk with some of the people,
Okay.
but
then
we
they
were
could-
like kind of.
So
in
you're
our
just at a generic
kind-
party where, okay.
Yeah.
So they could ask you questions though to try to help figure out who did the murder. So they could ask you questions about that, or was that like a no?
I'm trying to remember. Okay, in the beginning, like before the murder, they could ask us questions to like get to know us, our character. And my name was Vanessa Limoncello,
That's a great name.
and
Did you come up with that?
I chose Vanessa because I love Marvel, and I think of like Kingpin, and he's like, you embarrass me in front of Vanessa. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I know of that.
From Daredevil, he's like, you embarrass me in front of Vanessa, and so I wanted to be Vanessa. Okay, so then after the murder, they couldn't really ask us questions until the detective was like, okay, everyone's gonna go around and each table can ask one question. And that's when we were like, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
say your
what-
controversial
So,
statement.
did you have to answer the question honestly?
As the character, no, like one person asked if we had like life insurance. And and some of this stuff, I was like, I didn't know they'd be paying this close attention. I didn't have, but that's what I love about improv. But yeah, they're like, did you guys have a life insurance policy? And I was just like, we have really good lawyers.
Okay. See, I would just be like, so did you kill him? Like, do you have to answer like?
So someone asked a question that was like kind of really upfront like that, and I just went and just like walked off.
That's open other questions that I want to. So and this is a joke, but so I'm a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons, and just hearing you talk about all that, I'm like, you would be great at Dungeons and Dragons.
Really?
You should totally look into it. That's just that. I mean, this totally could have waited for after the podcast, but like, I think you'd be if you had that much fun at like this improv dinner party.
Yeah.
Get a couple of friends and do some Dungeons and Dragons. Guys, Dungeons and Dragons, great thing to play with friends. That's all I'll say.
He's been trying for years to get me.
I have tried.
I've always wanted to try it.
Yeah.
It's genuinely, if you have a good group of friends, it can be really fun. And so I think that's the hard part though, is you have to have the right friends, and because everything else doesn't matter. It's just as long as you're having fun, that's what matters. Yeah. And so eventually I'll get Cade to do it.
Comedians together.
That's what comedians and that is a thing. Like there are like comedian groups that do that. Not that I would know. I'm not a nerd. But an actual question I have for you. Do you like, it sounds like you enjoy improv. Is that something like you've always enjoyed doing? Is that a recent thing? Is like, what made you kind of get into improv?
I just always enjoyed just goofing around, like skits and sketches and stuff like that, just coming up with stuff. I grew up going to Camp Tall Chief, the Girl Scout camp, and every week, like at the end of each week, you'd have like the skits, and that was my favorite part. All week I was like coming up with ideas and like telling, and all the other girls were like, Kelsey, shut up. Like, and so I just always liked just making skits and sketches. And so there's a improv group I'm hopefully getting involved with soon. And
that's awesome.
So what were you like as a kid?
I was pretty weird. In fourth is like the end of fourth grade. I discovered Avril Lavigne and Good Charlotte and Simple Plan. And I remember fifth grade. I was trying to wear spiked bracelets to school, and like sneak an eyeliner into my backpack, and like it was fifth or sixth grade. I was listening. I think it was sixth grade. I was listening to. I had a Marilyn. I don't even know how I got it, but I got a Marilyn Manson CD, and this was before we knew what we knew now. But I was listening to it on the bus, and I was the last bus driver or last bus stop, and my bus driver was just like, "What you listening to?" And I think at this point I'd seen Bowling for Columbine at this point too. I had my parents are deaf.
What? Okay.
And so
why did you see Bowling for Columbine?
Because like Marilyn Manson's in that.
Oh,
and
okay.
so and my parents are deaf, and I say that just because like I watched a lot of weird stuff when I was younger, and my parents didn't realize what I was watching. And then I was like, I'm listening to Marilyn Manson. You know, he's really not as bad as everyone says he is. He makes some really great points sometimes. And then I got called in, and then I was called in the principal's office the next day to like check on me.
So the bus driver reported on you?
I guess. Well, she made me pray with her before I got off the bus. I'm dead serious. Owasso Public Schools. And
that would catch a lawsuit today.
Yeah. It was weird, man. And so, they were checking, and I had to tell my principal I like wasn't a Christian.
Oh.
11 years old at a public school.
Oh,
jeez.
It was weird, man. That's why, like, when
were your parents religious?
No.
Okay, so you kind of grew up unreligious.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had well, you asked what I was like as a child, man. Like, I had a weird moment when I was in like first grade, and I knew I wasn't a Christian. And
what was that?
I had this stuffed Pikachu.
Ooh.
And it was like the center of my world, It was like it was the year, it was like 99, And I guess you wouldn't remember, but and this was in Ohio.
Oh, hey, there we go.
There was like a tornado coming or something, and we were like, my mom was like, okay, let's pray, like. And I'm just learning about like weather and how that works. And I'm like, I think I'll make that go away. And in that same night, my Pikachu disappeared. And that's the symbolism for like losing God. I'm dead serious though. And then I found my spirituality as an adult, as a Native American woman.
So I want
to, me and Creator good now. Yeah.
So if Pikachu would have returned, like, I don't know, say 3 days later, would that have been like your symbolism?
Found it nailed to a tree.
If losing Pikachu is your symbolism of losing God, would he have been like?
Yeah, he has returned.
Yeah, no. If he came back 3 days later, yeah, I probably wouldn't be a comedian or any. I would have taken a much better path in life.
So Pikachu going missing. Pikachu going missing in 1999 was the catalyst. Was is that the right word, catalyst?
Yeah.
All right, the catalyst of your life.
Yeah, and then came full circle, and Creator was brought back to me at Bonnaroo, and in 2011 I had an experience, or 2012, and I met Creator. Yeah, we've been tied ever since.
Wow, that's awesome.
And what was the experience at Bonnaroo?
an experience.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. An experience in the woods.
Yeah.
Where else do we find Creator?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it always, that's how you always hear the stories of people, they were in the woods or near a waterfall and something was going down and then they found.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you find like comedy as an outlet?
Last summer, I guess I say summer, but do I say last summer or summer before?
Oh God. Okay.
It's in the summer of 2022.
That's yes. They'll never know. Yeah. They will never know.
In the summer of 2022, I was finishing grad school and had a kind of an existential crisis, like what do now? And I signed up for comedy classes from Landry Miller, and so it was like my last this summer was my last semester of grad school, and I also took comedy classes it was like once a week all that summer, and I grew up watching stand up. Like my parents being deaf, like I said, we got away with watching a lot, and so we would have like every my mom, she would get like cable like off and on, we'd have it for a while and then not, and we always watched Comedy Central, and like my brother's 3 years older than me, so he always he always had Chappelle Show on, and the Comedy Central roast, and then like my grandpa, we always watched like Ray Stevens videos, and we traveled for drag racing, and he would just be playing these, I can't even remember the name, but he'd be playing these old tapes and
like
stuff.
the car drag racing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would have loved to see my grandpa in drag. So yeah, and I just always liked comedy, and then I had been friends with Evan for a while, a couple years, or it feels like a couple years. At that point, it felt like a couple years. Now it has been, but and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and then my graduation show after, so it was like, I want to say 8 weeks of the classes, and that's kind of where I learned to turn like my stories into jokes, and then I was just hooked. Yeah.
Did you get into comedy because of Evan, or like did you?
Sure. Hey Evan, I got into comedy because of you. He definitely helped me. He booked me on my first show after my graduation show, so I definitely have to give some close up. I definitely.
So you always loved comedy, but Evan.
He definitely helped me get into the scene. He definitely helped me get into the scene. Yes.
There we go. We got that clip now. Yeah. So.
Yes. No, I don't even like calling it a scene. He helped me connect to the community, for sure. Thank you, Evan.
And we're talking about Evan Hughes, who has been on the show before, earlier this season.
Yeah, he was like the last episode, right?
Yep. He hosted a show I did last night.
Yes.
So
you mean 6 months ago or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, now we have to just release this episode the night after
another show that you guys do together.
Probably, yeah, it probably will be.
Yeah. So I mean, you're doing shows quite a bit. Like I see, you're very busy with a lot of things.
People are starting to call you like Kels Tulsa now, I think, right?
Oh.
Huh.
Sure.
It's a joke on Evan.
Yeah. So I mean that's got to eat up a lot of your free time, right?
A bit, yeah. And it was perfect because like when I finished grad school, I mean, I had been in academia for 10 years, and I didn't know who I was outside of school.
So what'd you go to school for?
I got my bachelor's in sociology, human services from Fort Lewis in Durango, and then I got my my master's of indigenous peoples law from OU.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when did you have you always been in tune with because you're native? Have you always kind of been in tune with that, or was that kind of something you found in college? Because if you went for a bachelor's in sociology, was that kind of whenever you kind of went down that road into getting your master's?
So my reconnecting journey, as we'd call it. Our obviously I'm brown. But growing up in Owasso, it was like, you know, we were like, I wasn't raised in my culture. And, you know, that was taken from the last like couple generations of my family. And so, as like when I was in high school, as a senior, when they added Native American Studies class, and I mean, like I got like the Johnson O'Malley school supplies and stuff, but like being Native at Owasso just meant you got called down for school supplies and college brochures. And, you know, in high school, you'd make fry bread at NASA meetings, you know, but now it's like Owasso, they go into all the schools and like teach basket weaving and bring Robert Lewis to tell stories and like making crafts and having events and stuff. So I'm really grateful for like kids now in Owasso get to experience that. But yeah, I didn't. And especially my dad being deaf, that was a whole other layer to it. Cause you know, things that like you would just hear around your family. Like that deafness was a barrier for my dad having culture, you know? And so,
are both your parents Native or just your dad?
Just my dad.
Just your dad.
Yeah. And, so yeah, as I got older and like was able to appreciate it and learned about how all of this should be our culture. And so then I've like definitely dedicated my life to like learning my culture and reconnecting and language. And whenever I have children, like Cherokee will be their first language because sign language was my first language. And I learned English and then I learned Spanish and I'm now like trying to learn Cherokee, and I'm not trying, I am currently learning Cherokee. And, so, you know, if you raise a kid in 2 languages, it makes it a lot easier to like, you know, it's good for the brain. Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, yes. As I got older, it was like, okay, this is something that takes work and dedication to like save our culture.
And so how did you find your people in that way? Like, how did you do that?
Definitely through local activism.
Okay.
Is how I found my circle. I just started getting involved, you know, when the governor be on his bullshit, you know, finding people that hate the same person you do.
Yeah.
But also
enemy's my friend.
Yeah. Stitz brought a lot of people together. I specifically, there's a group of women that I love so much that I met through like protest. And whenever he came and did the town hall meeting, we all went and our picture got like plastered everywhere. And it's me holding a sign and it says, "Stitt don't know shit about federal law." And the federal has like a little feather on it. And so just through stuff like that and local activism, really helped me like find find my place in the local Native community. And then as I've gotten into comedy and film, I think of it as like, I just want to entertain my people and I want to create spaces and opportunities for like us to have our own entertainment, you know, like you work with Jen Lauren a lot and, you know, she's done amazing things. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah, and like the film world's become my, you know, circle too.
Yeah.
Speaking of film,
yes.
you've done Reservation Dogs, which ended last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that some?
Yeah. I was the art PA on Res Dogs, and it was really awesome. I started working in production about the same, like when I finished grad school. And so I was really blessed. I had a set deck PA job on a reality show, and after that kind of qualified me to the previous art PA. Excuse me, Sierra. She's amazing. She had a baby and needed someone to fill her moccasins, and you know, she had me fill in for her for season 3. And it was really cool. I learned so much. And just like the care and detail that goes into every single thing on that set. Like the Deer Woman episode. And also just stuff that happens that, you know, the public doesn't know about. Like the Deer Woman episode and the boarding school episode, you know, obviously Set Deck had prepped for a very long time to like have all the furniture and all that stuff. the set deck warehouse burnt down.
Oh.
Weeks, like a couple weeks before they were supposed to film all that.
Jeez.
And so they had to like replace half of it on, with like like a few weeks notice and stuff like that. Or a big part of my job was doing the research for like, so I did. I'm
sorry, what was your role one more time?
Yeah, so I was the art PA. So the gist of my duties was I was kind of an assistant to everybody in the art department. I did research for the production designer and the art director. Anything you see that's like printed, any posters, photos, newspapers, brochures, the Man Moon book cover, all of that had to be printed. We had a graphic designer make it, send it to us, and then I would print it. And we had special printers and different kinds of paper, so things that needed to be made, especially for set. Or like we'd go pick up stuff. There's a like a highway sign that says "Welcome to Oklahoma," and I think they painted land back on it. But that was a big expensive sign, and Oklahoma was misspelled, and I was so low on the totem poles that I didn't always open like certain emails, like email chains I was a part of. I didn't always like open the file because I just happened to be on that, what I mean? And I remember that one, and I was like, oh, I probably would have caught that. And it went through it went all the way up to like the director, and and someone way up top was like, this is missing an A.
The middle A?
The middle A, yeah.
A lot of consonants right in a row there.
But
yeah, I feel like
everything else went super smooth. Almost I'm not like, no, we had an amazing art department and production, and Brandon Tonner Connolly is, he's a master production designer, but it's just like little stuff like that. It's like, cause you only have, you got days, if not hours to like fix some of this stuff. And it was intense. It was 4 months of like kind of production boot camp, but I learned and I read, I learned just so much about production. And
so when I think of art, obviously I think of like, art. And so is that,
when I think of art, I think of, art.
I think of like traditional, paintings and stuff, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, because you guys also got a lot of art from Native artists too. Yes.
That was part of my job too.
Okay, that's kind of where I was trying to head to. So, like, I mean, the other question, like, are you much of an artist yourself, or did you just work on like acquiring the art and getting that stuff?
I am an artist, but for the job, it was more about acquiring and getting clearances. And so that was one of my favorite parts was set deck would be like, hey, we want this, we want this Dana Tiger or Johnny Daikon art. So we would like take a picture or scan it, and then we'd send it to legal. Legal would just approve or not, because Red Sox is owned by Disney. So just every little the Sonic cups, which is one thing the art department made, was like the flashback Sonic cups, like coming up with those. I had to do a lot of research on
They had a flashback
on Sonic,
episode, which took place in the 70s, and it was real time
at a Sonic. The graphic designer would like come up with the cup designs and stuff, and then we'd send them off to get made. But anyway, everything had to be ran by a lawyer, and then also I would help get the art coordinator did a lot of it, but on some pieces I would get like just have the artist sign off or their estate so that we could use it. And then there is one episode that I'm very, very, or like one scene that I'm very, very proud of. Dr. Larry McNary, the psychologist at IHS. You know what I'm talking about?
I have.
Oh, it's okay.
I it's on my watch list.
They are a two-spirit psychologist at IHS, And the production designer asked me to do some research on what like a two-spirit, on what like that kind of office would look like. And I was like, oh, well, I'm two-spirit. Like I would, this sounds awesome. And so he let me take on a lot more responsibilities for that set. And so he let me like have a lot more hand in picking out the art. And and there was there was like some cool stuff I got to do with that. And so we used Carly Treese and Kendra Swafford's art in that. So
I love Kendra's work.
yes.
I think that Reservoir Dogs is definitely like, I don't have Disney Plus right now.
I just
Reservation. Oops, that's embarrassing. Reservation. It's on my watch, like, because I've seen clips on it on TikTok, and it's always like, I want to watch this, but like I have this backlot catalog of stuff that I'm trying to catch up on.
move it up to the front.
After this conversation, I think I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because I'm always of that, like, okay, I'll eventually catch up, and so
Yeah.
that's my bad. But Cade and I have talked about it several times, and it's always like, yep, I'm going to get to that. And it's just, I'm in school right now as well, and so school or work or I'm a big Trek fan, so there's tons of seasons and episodes of that, and so it's just like, but I think next time I get access to Disney Plus, because I assume it's on Disney Plus.
It's on Hulu, but I think they're aren't they supposed to merge them in some sort of way? I've heard
They might eventually.
They might have already by now.
In Canada.
Yeah.
In Canada, it's on Disney Plus.
I might
But
have.
Here it's on Hulu.
We have a VPN and Disney Plus.
But it is. I will be watching it.
Yeah. Well, and speaking, I mean, these artists, I've met so many of these artists through our events at Cherokee Nation and everything, and a lot of them are on our list to have on Cade Friends eventually. I would love to have Kendra on. I'd love to have Johnny Diacon on. I love Johnny a lot. So they're definitely on my list of guests to have on in the future. And now, speaking of, we run into each other a lot at the different events and different things. It was a recent set that you were working on that one too. Or Cottonmouth.
Oh yeah, Cottonmouth. Yeah. I was the set costumer on that.
Yeah. And that's pretty big deal.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was really cool. It was my first time doing wardrobe. And I learned so much. I learned about squibs and stunts and, what it takes to dress a cast. And I got to work with Jonathan Sadowski, who he was on She's the Man. And I think the name is it called Sex Life? Something. It's like it's like a show like that. And then Martin Sensmeyer, who he's in like Wind River, Fry Bread Facing Me. Oh my gosh, he's in something else. I can't remember either. But he's did awesome stuff as a native actor. Yeah, I don't know when that's coming out, but it's a Western and it's filmed on Cherokee Nation and and you got Cherokee Film came out of it.
Yeah.
How did you unless you had a question, Kate?
No.
How did you get into because it sounds like you originally went to school for sociology. You know what? Here, maybe this is an easier question. What did you originally go to school for? Like, what was your career goal, and where was that? When you first went to school, what did you want to be, and how has it shifted? And because now you're doing comedy and you're doing all the stuff with film.
Yeah. So after I got my bachelor's, I wanted to get my MSW, and I worked in the nonprofit world. So I was a HIV Hep C prevention counselor. Wow. And so I would go out to clubs like Majestic and go to Pride, and we would do
So you got your degree in sociology to kind of be a counselor?
Just nonprofit social work. Yeah. Right. And I was only 23 and I got burnt out from the nonprofit industry pretty quick, and realized that and then I found the Indigenous Peoples Law program, and I was like, okay, that's what I want to go to grad school for. I want to work, for my tribe and for my people, and I still plan on doing that. But I'm trying to think of how to say this. After like a decade in academia and being angry and fighting all the time, I realized toward the end of grad school that and also I was a theater kid and had all this whole other side of me that I wasn't like allowed to pursue in my 20s, because I did study theater and stuff in high school and I grew up doing it. And so then I was like, oh, well, now there's all this stuff here and I am allowed to chase this dream, and we can fight for sovereignty through representation because,
there's more than one way to fight.
Yeah. And, ended up on the news for harassing the governor, as much as I love doing it. Love you, Kev. See you soon. People forget about that a week later.
Yeah.
But what people do remember is seeing us hold space and have joy and create these things and tell our stories through these things. And when people see us in media, they'll want to stand next to us when our rights are being taken away.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's how I made this shift.
Wow.
Yeah. I like to say sovereignty sovereignty through representation is my goal now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the nonprofit world, it was just hard. I was 23. I was 23 telling people they had these life-changing diseases. And it was just a lot.
Could not be easy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm grateful for the work and, and the groups do really great things. But I realized I was allowed to follow my dream, and natives can do this now.
And how did you get into film? What was your first role in that? Did you, because everyone has their own different way. They have a friend who gets them in, or you're at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
How'd you get in?
Rory Crittenden, bless his soul, gave me my first PA gig. And I, moved equipment and set up C-stands for a documentary he did. And then after that was my first, that was my first paid PA gig. And then, and I ask people, hey, you got any work? Or more, it's more like, how can I help you? What can I do for you in your project? I'm not just asking for a job.
Can I have a job?
Yeah, no. I whenever, I reach out like that, I'm like, how can I help you?
So you learn that people
thing.
are doing stuff and you're like,
yeah.
Cool.
And so then, and then I, once you've done one PA gig, it opens the door to doing more. And then and then I was a art PA on Farmer Wants a Wife, which I had no idea what it was when we were filming it. Whenever I got hired, it was under a secret title, and I thought that it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a documentary show about a family getting ready for winter. Is based on the title that we were given. And then I get out there to this farm outside of Stillwater, and I show up for my first day, and then the guy that hired me, who ended up, he's one of my besties, but he told me what the show really was, and he was like, hey, so yeah, this is The Bachelor, but cowboy, and this is the farm. And we got 1 week to make the farm camera ready. And then I was on this shoot.
This is The Bachelor, but cowboy.
It is. And have you guys ever seen Farmer Wants a Wife? Or
No.
most of it? Oh, it's a gem. And so then I'm on this dating. I'm crew on this dating reality show for 2 months, and I didn't even. I all I was told was Hulu. I had no idea, and it's a prime time Fox reality show.
Really?
These boys went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, okay? And so
oh my god,
they had it was a few, and season 2's coming out next year. Season 2's probably already out now. And there's 4 or 5 cowboys, and they each have 5 or 6 girls on their farm, that that want to be their wife, and then they narrow it down. And so I worked on the Oklahoma farm, and I grew up like my family's country, and so like my grandpa was a team roper, and they had cattle and stuff, and so it was interesting. Like it was interesting seeing these like city girls do stuff, and but it was fun anyway. So that was the first like big thing I worked on, and then after that was the fall winter 22, and then after that was Res Dogs, and then so I just float around. I'm learning. I think of this as like my you
want to be in this area or this?
Yeah. I eventually plan on writing and producing. Cool. But yeah, I think of it as like college. I just want to like try everything and
see what you enjoy the most.
Yeah, and like to be a good producer, you got to know what everyone's going through. Like, yeah.
Cowboy Bachelor.
Cowboy Bachelor. Yeah. It's cute.
I think I've seen it like advertised or whatever, but now it goes in.
Well, now you're gonna have to go and watch season 1, knowing that that she was part of that.
Landon was my homie. He was really freaked out about having like. He's like, all these people from California, because like because we were there before crew showed up, like getting everything ready, and so he was freaked out, and I was like, I got you, I'll be your little Okie buddy. And yeah, it was funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
Wow. So oh my god, I feel like there's a lot to just unpack with that show, but I think maybe it's best just to move on from that, because that I could spend, I feel like, an hour just getting more information about this. And I could probably just go home and watch it.
I don't know what I don't remember what my NDA covers or not.
Okay, we'll move on then, just in case.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you do stand up, do you have like, what do you call your comedy style? Or how would you classify it as?
Single girl comedy.
Okay.
That's kind of what I call it. Someone out there wants to be my boyfriend, maybe I can write about our relationship. But
well, you can go the Taylor Swift route, so kind of.
Can we talk about Taylor Swift?
Yeah, we have a.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
What is? I have a poster from her Eras.
Yay!
That's my gift to you. If you want it, I just have it.
How did you get that, Cade?
From it was at the
I have two of them.
You can have another one.
I love her. Okay.
You can use it as a prop too. If
the Taylor Swift route. I write, like, my jokes are about a lot of them are about my experiences with men. And there's this bit in her documentary, Miss Americana, and she's like, "Oh, am I being too loud in my house that I bought the songs that I wrote about my life?" And I'm like, "That's the goal." And so, I want to be in my house that I paid for, writing jokes about my own life.
Yeah.
One day I'll really might make a few bucks off of comedy.
I mean, she's the 2023 Times Person of the Year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved. I went to the Eras tour twice.
Oh, wow.
I went to Speak Now night, which was in Kansas City. And I'm not saying that like I got her and Travis Kelce together, but I was at the Kansas City show. Technically, both of them. It's a crazy story. My mom, we got tickets like days before the show, and they were actually really affordable. Because my mom, she got tickets for like the interpreter section, and so we were on the floor for face value prices, life-changing moment. Anyway, but she could only get 2 for the first night and 1 for the second night. She couldn't get, because it was me, her, and her wife. And so the way we split it up, because me as a young person, as a young hearing person, I can't just walk into the ADA and be like, sorry, my mom bought me this ticket. So my mom and I went together the first night, and then Timmy went the second night, and they don't let you tailgate at Arrowhead Stadium because someone died at a football game in 2018. And like once the game or show starts, you got to go in or you got to leave. But if you're picking someone up, you can park outside. So for the second night at Arrowhead, I got to like sit out in the parking lot and listen to the show.
Because you were picking...
Because we were picking my stepmom up. And And then I went to the
Pick her up for 2 hours.
Yeah, she should be here pretty soon.
Well, no, like they let you park because it was so crazy.
Okay.
You had to go in and park hours before. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was at the 1989 night in LA on August, on 8/9 when she announced that, and she wore blue and because we had the costumes memorized, and I went there with a friend that I met at the KC show. It was just so great, and we're gonna try to go to New Orleans.
Did you go to the movie version?
I went to the movie twice, and then I rented, and then on her birthday, on December 13th, I went to a thing at like a dance party at the Canes, and then I went home and rented the show and like stayed up and watched it because I could rent it at home.
Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you, dude, she's just, I grew up with her, you know, like I was this like emo scene kid in high school listening to like the Fearless album in my iPod.
So, were you listening to her when she was like country Taylor?
Yeah. And I love country and I loved that. Yeah. And I was 15 having my heart broken and it was just like so perfect. And
no, sorry, go ahead.
And so it's just like, as she goes through stuff, so do I, you know, that's kind of where we're at.
She has played, you know, I mean, people are going to write books about her because, you know, she started country and then she shifted slowly into pop. And then it's just like, she was just like,
It was pretty abrupt whenever it did happen.
Yeah. And then like, you know, she was just kind of always mainstream. And then now like all of a sudden she just, like everyone liked her, but then just
she got respect on her name. Is what happened.
And she's, I mean, amazing at like marketing herself.
Yes.
Like that's the thing that I mean, you know, she deserves like all the credit in the world for that, of like being able to know before shifts and different things how to kind of represent herself out in the world. Like I think it's brilliant. Like she was able to get into the country music scene like pretty explosively right off the bat, and then know how to get into that. And then whenever I think she rose to the peak of what she could accomplish in that realm to make the pivot and do that as flawlessly as she did. And then every step of the way, I mean, the fact that she cut through distributors for her film like that, I mean, like that, yeah.
I mean, re-releasing her albums
during the strike.
Yeah.
And that like, as they were filming, her whole crew and dancers were approached as SAG, you know, actor. Like she did it by the book.
Yeah, she did.
I mean, she, you know, and then I've read that like the people who went on tour with her, she gave like a huge bonus to the people who like were on the tour like with her doing setup and stuff. So, I mean, she deserves everything.
Yep.
She stuck up for people like with the Spotify, just bunch of different nails. And yeah.
She carries a lot of weight. She carries a lot of weight. And she does a lot of good. She does a lot of good.
I will say, as someone who hates capitalism, that when it's time to eat the rich, I know what I gotta do.
So
okay. I got friends watching this that always they're like, Kelsey, you know there's no ethical billionaires. I'm like, I know, but just let me have this. Just let me enjoy something.
You know, I'm so.
She knows the rules too. She knows the rules.
She knows if she wants to survive, she's got to get rid of the billion.
Yeah.
I often, you know, I often make a joke. I have a friend, and if you're watching this, Bree, hello. She's big Swiftie. And I often will joke. I'm like, you know, when we say eat the rich, that includes Taylor. And she's like, it does not include Miss Taylor Allison Swift. She's the exception. And I'm like, all right, but I mean, you know, I'm just saying. And so just hearing you say that, I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. You know what you have to do.
Yeah.
You locked eyes with the poster, I think, when you would say
sorry, girl. You know, that reminded, okay, a weird thing happened when I went and saw her in LA. So I got tickets to the Price is Right live, or a ticket. I went solo, But so in the morning on August 9th, I went to see The Price is Right be taped, and I didn't get chosen. And I even had a shirt that said, "Drew, bestie, please replace my res car." And then whenever I went up, like they do these interviews, to pick you, and I was like bouncing off the walls, and I was like really trying. But then they interviewed. When I saw them talk to other people, I was like, no, I'm not getting chosen. But they picked like 3 people from my group. Anyway, so this one girl gets like she goes up and she's like blonde and was like wearing sparkly, and I just had a feeling, I was like, I bet she's going to the show tonight. And so you know how you go up and you bid on that first item to get to go further.
Yeah.
You guys, the price of the item that she not her guess, but the retail value of the item that she was bidding on was $19.89. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then she won something. And anyway, but so then during the wheel, when she's doing her shout out, she was like, and I'd like to give a shout out to Miss Taylor Allison Swift. I was like, yeah. And then the episode aired and I watched it. It was just so funny. And I was like, people don't know this was filmed on that day.
And then it was released on Indigenous Peoples Day, right?
It was released on Indigenous Peoples Day. And had I known that, I would have definitely played that Indian card.
Yeah.
Like, you guys legally have to. Hashtag representation matters.
Yeah. So do you do the whole the clues and all that Taylor drops? Like, do you follow all of that rabbit trail? Oh, okay.
I'm a clown. We're like the doomsday preppers that always think the world's about to end, but instead we just want her to we keep thinking she's gonna randomly drop Reputation, Taylor's version.
Yeah.
We had it's like every other week we're like, no, today's the day.
Is it just going to be random? Are you just going to wake up and it's like, oh my God, 3 a.m.? Or is she going to I
think that's how she's going to do Reputation, because there's a phrase and it's no explanation, just Reputation. And just because of the vibe of this one, because the others she would announce it and then announce the date and then we count down to the date, because we knew something was going to be up on 8/9, because it was it's 8/9, it's the closing of the American leg of the tour, and then she came out and every outfit was blue, and we were like, it's blue, all night, just losing our shit. And then finally, when she did the acoustic song, she announced, I'm 1989's next month, and then she hasn't done this with Rep. And even on that night, the Reputation outfit has been the same on every she has different versions of the different outfits for the eras. Reputation one, it stayed exactly the same for all 66 shows she's done so far. And opening night is 2/8 in Tokyo. And see, this is how it works.
This is genuinely fascinating.
And in the I believe the Bejeweled or Karma or Bejeweled video, she's holding a cup of tea, and it has a clock on it, and her fingers are on the 2 and the 8. So we think, and then opening night in Tokyo, because she's on Christmas break right now, opening night is in Tokyo 2/8, and we think that's when she's going to do it. But also there's a pattern of there's 112 days from in between announcing it and releasing it. The numbers are there.
What's really great about this part, though, is because we're going to clip some of these things in TikTok it. And, I mean, the sad thing is this might come out after all of this has been revealed. But for whatever reason, if it hasn't, we might be able to pull in some of that Taylor Swift, the Taylor...
She'll still be in the news by at that point.
Oh, we still won't have Reputation, Taylor's album, by the time this is out. Come on, Blondie. Anyway. Yeah. But one thing that I so back to being kind of serious, when it comes what she's taught me about business, and when I produce comedy shows, I have been very blessed that everyone that I've produced has either sold out or almost, or it's always packed, and I call it my Taylor Swift standard. And I just think of, do what you put your all into something to make it the highest standard of an event or show. And, you know, I do fundraising. I make sure that like our comedians get paid besides just like a $20 slip to you at the end of the night. Like I want structure to where we're paid. And, you know, I try to market it and, you know, and I want to sell every show out. And it's not about money. It's just about having like, you know, the fact that our community can go like, wow, we have this thing, you know, and it's a hoot. If you come out to one of these shows, it's a good time. Yeah. So yeah.
What is, and I want to ask this question now because I think it'd be really interesting to
keep talking about her.
Yeah. I think this would be really interesting to, you know, to go back on, you know, 5, 10, 20 years. So this is a long term. This is a long game we're playing here. But what is your experience, you know, over the past, how long have you been doing comedy right now? It's been a year, 2 years?
Over a year.
Over a year. So what is your experience over the past year like been, especially being a woman in comedy and a Native woman in comedy? What has your experience been, and have you hit any, you know, roadblocks that, you know, some women experience, especially in like a male typical you know, field?
Yeah. Overall it's been really great, and I've been very grateful and very blessed to have things go how they have gone. I will say I've had someone tell me like, oh, it's only 'cause you're Native, which like maybe, but I'm doing something for my people, you know, like, would I even want to be doing this if I wasn't Native? I don't know. But, and it's like, yeah, cause like we need this. We need more people doing this. I try to recruit more Native women. I hate competition. Competition's been one downside of, Natives can be crabs in a bucket, or they can think of competition when it doesn't need to be there. And so I think that's also just like women stuff, you know, having, you know, someone who was a best friend of mine telling me lies about other female comedians. And then when the truth all came out, I was like, oh my God, so we all could have been besties, and we are now, you know? And you know, that toxic person is no longer in my life, just stuff like that. The guys have been great. I feel like in Tulsa, everyone's pretty respectful. I will say it drives me nuts to see local lineups and it's like all men or like all white men. Like even the smaller stuff that I produce, like I mix it up. I put on and I host a monthly comedy show at Circle Cinema. You know, that I always try to make that diverse, even though diversity is illegal in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Very topical.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's one thing that drives me nuts. It's just seeing it's like constant lineups of white guys. I'm just like, come on, guys, we can do better. Yeah. But yeah, it's been pretty good.
That's good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that, and I hope over the years that, you know, it you know, continues like that. But you know, there's always stories of, you know.
Okay, I will say, so there at the aunties and uncles show, we did the Looney Bin. We packed the Looney Bin, and a male comedian said, he walked up and he was like, "Hey, congrats getting on this show." And I said, "Oh, I produced it." And whenever I get sad, I just think of that. Yeah, just, you know, there's little stuff, or, you know, sometimes guys will be pervs, but everyone's pretty good at taking care of each other in the community here.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you ever get nervous about sharing such personal things on stage?
It kind of depends. I've kind of just lost all sense of shame at this point. I think like I'll watch stand up and I'm like, okay, if they can tell this about their lives, then like I can. I feel like even my wacky stuff is still pretty tame compared to a lot of comedians. Like my comedy's like rated R, but I feel But then I think of like if it's really personal. One of my favorite, so like my two favorite kinds of laughs are the I shouldn't be laughing, but that's funny, and the I thought I was the only one. You know, like when someone says something just like, you know, like a really weird or gross thing they do, and you're like, oh, I thought I was the only, like that's my favorite. And so, whenever it comes to like gross or personal stuff, like that's what I aim for. Like I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Someone in that crowd is going to relate.
Someone in that crowd is as disgusting as I am.
Yeah. Well, one of our wrap-up questions that we always do is we ask people advice. And I think what's advice for people wanting to go into comedy, you know, to try, you know, stand up or anything? What would be your advice for that?
Number one, just be yourself. Like being yourself and just telling your own stories pays off a lot more than like trying to be something. And I'm trying to think. Last night, a girl on our show, it was her first set ever, and so I was telling her, I was like, people are just impressed by the fact that you're up there. So like people, you know, it's like it's a local show. People aren't over analyzing, you know. And yeah, just be yourself and tell your stories, and just know that like you're being harder on yourself than the audience is. Because I used to, even before doing, I would do an open mic, and for those who, there's open mics and shows. So open mics, you go to like rehearse your material, and then shows is where you, you know, the good stuff. And even just to do an open mic, I needed like drops of CBD and like hitting like double fisting like my nicotine and weed vape, and like I needed 2 drink like I had a routine because I was so nervous, and I had to watch stand up all day just to do an open mic, just to do 5 minutes in an open mic, and then now I can like crawl out of bed and go do a set. So it just like practice, definitely. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for, especially because you know, for those maybe native kids who were maybe like you and they weren't very in tune with it, and you know, any advice for those kids out there?
Man, yeah, just get to know people in your community, reach out and like ask. Just like there's been so many opportunities that I've gotten just because I asked somebody in the community. You know, and that's a great way to know people, and that's a great way for people to see the work that you want to give to your community. And you know, the worst they can say is no, but they'll be probably surprised and touched you asked. You know, like that's how I got like my first PA gig, was my friends that were making films. I was like, hey, can I, like, do you need a hand? Can I, you know, like, how can I help you? And in one way or another, like, you know, people will start letting you help. Yeah. So yeah, just reach out and ask. You know, the shows I produced, I had an idea and I asked a venue if I could put it there. You know? Yeah.
All right. The final question we always ask is probably the hardest. Do you have any socials or anything you'd like to plug?
Yes. Let's see. Okay. By the time this is out, Auntie's Acting Up. Keep an eye out for Auntie's Acting Up. That's going to be on social media. I'm going to, by this time, I should have like a social media page for Auntie's Acting Up.
That's great.
And then
and Cade could probably put a link there.
To it.
And then my Instagram is Lady Landback. And that's about it.
Are you on TikTok at all? Do you post any of your stuff on TikTok?
No, I make reels. I like Instagram reels.
Okay.
But I'm just a little sussed out by TikTok.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would never get anything. Like I go through like Facebook. Like, if it's good enough, it'll make it over to Facebook and Instagram.
Can people, if like I live in Ohio, can I watch any of your stuff on YouTube or anything, or would maybe Instagram Reels, maybe find some clips on there?
Yeah. Just look up Kels Cooper, Lady Landback on YouTube.
All right, thank you. I look for. I live in Ohio, so making a show is a little harder to make in person. So I love trying to I go through these phases of comedy where I'm like, I want to watch something, and so if I can support local, I love doing that.
And I love your comedy. I think it's so great, and I mean, and it's so. Like you, I like that you're not like, trying to be someone else. You'll see someone that'll do comedy and they're like, oh, they're obviously doing somebody else's kind of shtick or whatever. But this is, you're very much you and on stage and everything. And from your perspective and everything. And I love that a lot. And I love running into you at all the different spots that we run into each other at. So yeah, thank you for being a guest on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Well, see ya. Bye.
It's time to eat the rich. I know what I gotta do.